This is how it usually goes. You have a secure 9 to 5 job and then you get pregnant. You happily sign for your 3 month leave. And then 3 months down the line after your baby is born, you're still not ready to go back to work. Hi everyone, welcome back to Stay at Home Mom Strategy. And I'm so glad you're here today because we're diving into a conversation that I know many moms are struggling with right now. It's that tension between wanting to be present with your children and sometimes even needing to contribute financially. I've spoken to some moms who say things like, it's really hard to get a job that fits my children's school schedules, or I feel guilty leaving my child with strangers, but it's something that I have to do to make ends meet. Today, I want to explore a different perspective, one that I think has the power to transform how we think about motherhood and work. It's about why stay at home motherhood is not only valuable, but it's also essential, and how it can become the foundation on which we build sustainable and flexible ways to thrive. When I was pregnant with my first child and preparing for life after having a baby, the plan was simple. I was going to give birth and then have 3 months off and then go back to work. But the 3 months came and I wasn't ready. So I decided, you know what? I'm gonna wait and I will stretch it out a little bit up to 6 months. And at the time, my company actually allowed me to do that. The extra 3 months were not paid, but I still could secure my spot at the company. And guess what? When the 6 month mark came, I still wasn't ready. I knew in my heart that leaving my child with a stranger in a foreign land with no family around was not what I wanted to do. And the sad truth was, when I looked at my paycheck, the cost of childcare was going to cover all of my salary with barely anything left. It just didn't make any sense for me. That's when I realized I was going to be working just to pay somebody else to do what my child needed me for. So my husband and I sat down and decided to choose the path of me becoming a stay-at-home mom. That's when I started to see being a stay-at-home mom not only as a sacrifice, but also as an opportunity. And the research agrees. Let's pause here for a bit and bring in some verified research. Psychoanalyst and parenting expert Dr. Erica Commissar writes that a mother's physical presence and emotional presence in the first 3 years of their baby's life has a direct impact on the child's emotional security and brain development. Babies learn trust, resilience, and regulation from consistent mother's care. So it just goes to show that the first 3 years are critical. So it is in these first 3 years that kids learn to regulate themselves. And it is very helpful and very important if the mother is close by to help with that development. But let's say the situation is really tough in this economy. Research also says even short daily presence matters. A 2015 study from the Journal of Marriage and Family found that it wasn't about the number of hours a mom spent with her kids, but the quality of that presence. So it means even if you're a working mom, it's about being there for drop offs and pickups, meal times and bedtimes, and being fully present in those moments. So it's definitely a plus if you're a stay at home mom, but only if you're using those hours wisely. So it means that just because you're a stay at home mom, being at home all day with your kids doesn't necessarily mean you're spending all those hours wisely. It's about what you do and how you choose to create those core memories for your kids every single day. The research by the National Institute of Child Health and Human Development shows that the quality of childcare can support development, and that long hours in daycare before the age of 3 are associated with stress and behavior issues. So children thrive best when the relationship and the bond between the mom and the child is prioritized. This means that childcare and daycare is not a replacement, it's just a filler of something that is not there. Another research pillar states that the mother's mental health improves when life is more aligned. Studies consistently show that mothers who feel in control of their rhythms, they report lower levels of stress, anxiety, and burnout. Even if that means earning less for a certain season, all of this points to one truth. Our presence as mothers is not just nice to have, but it's foundational. I would even dare to say that's the way it's supposed to be. When our babies are born, they latch on to us for dear life. And for years and years, you know that those babies will literally follow you everywhere you go. Some people talk about the invisible umbilical cord that is just there. So when you move to a certain space, your babies feel your movement and want to go with you. So that separation between mother and child, especially early on, definitely has some long-term effects. So, how do we move from the theory of all this research and put it into practice? The reality is not every family can afford to live on one income, and some moms just really want to contribute financially. I believe the solution is not to try and squeeze ourselves into rigid job structures that don't fit motherhood, but is to rethink work itself. Instead of asking, what job can I find that fits into my son's school schedule? Let's ask, what work can I create that fits into a rhythm of my home? That might mean freelancing, starting an online store or a home business, or doing consulting, or using the skills that you already have in flexible ways that allow you to keep motherhood at the center. It doesn't always happen overnight. It's about strategy. It's about building step by step while you're keeping motherhood and your children at the center of it all. So if I was to do it all over again and starting off as a new mom, knowing what I know now, I would focus those 9 months to making that strategy work. During those 9 months, have a strategy already going so that postpartum, when you're ready and fit to get back to business, you have something to look forward to, and you're just picking up off of where you left. If you want to be freelancing, then you can start working on the skills that you need to be able to offer your clients whilst you're still pregnant. If you want to start a home business, you can look into the skills that you're going to require to make your business function well, or you can write up a business plan. It doesn't have to be something big, but just get something going. Prepare for it. Preparation is definitely the key to success. If you're working a 9 to 5 job, you have a lot of skills that you can leverage, and you can get somebody else to pay you for those skills while you are still keeping motherhood at the center. I understand the fear around this because you have to go through a period of maybe not having a certain fixed salary. But if you are consistent in your approach and you really want this for your family, I really do believe that there is always a way out. Here's what I want every mom listening to remember: motherhood is not a pause in your career, and it's not wasted potential. It's a redirection to something much deeper, and it is deeply significant. Being a stay at home mom doesn't mean you've given up ambition. It just means you've chosen to anchor your ambition into your family first. And from that place of strength, you can build work that not only earns an income on the side, but also aligns with your values. It means if you are a Christian mom and you do not like the negative association on your children in the school system, now you can actually have the time to homeschool your kids. You can now become that first source of teaching for your kids in terms of moral values and everything about life, because now you are imparting that knowledge because you're actually present and available to be able to do that. And this does not mean that by becoming a stay at home mom, everything becomes perfect. Some days will be messy, and some days you will question your choice. But if you zoom out, then you actually see that you are building a foundation for your children to stand on for life. Think about your own childhood. Think about your own childhood memories. This was one very strong point for me because being away from my mother at some point in my childhood had very, very negative effects on me as a person. And even now, I still struggle with the effects of what that caused for me. So when I think about that, it makes me realize that it's something that I definitely do not want for my own children. I'm hoping that by sharing this message is going to educate somebody so that they see another pathway, because it seems like um, some mothers that I've spoken to, they have no idea that this is actually a possibility for them, and something that is something a luxury only for those living in a foreign country. But this is actually not the case, because the work that you can choose to do as a stay-at-home mom, you can do it from anywhere in the world. Currently, I am a stay-at-home working mom, so I work from home, and this role is not even a role that is in the location where I'm based. At some point, I tried to have a business making art, and it worked for some time, but it was just exhausting for me having a young child and having a lot of artwork to do for long, long hours. So I believe there's always a solution for every mom out there, a solution that best fits your situation, but only if you're looking. If in your mind you think that the possibility of it is not for you, then the answers will rarely come. Stay at home motherhood is not a step back, it's a step into purpose. And just as Dr. Erica Komisar says, mothers are not replaceable. Their presence is the foundation of their child's emotional security. That at the core is what we as stay at home moms are trying to support. And we're choosing everything else to be second, third, and fourth priority. When you look at the world today and what has happened to children throughout the generations, you can tell that something has got to give. You could either just go ahead and say, oh, this is what everybody does, this is the way of life, or you can choose a different path for your own family. You can choose to raise a legacy. This reminds me of when I was in Zimbabwe in 2024, and a lot of people were asking me, kuti saka uri kuitei, saka wakangogara kumba, like hapana zvauri kuita. And it's kind of hard to explain. It's kind of hard to explain all this, but I really hope with the mentality changes, especially in Zimbabwe. Nekuti, it's unfortunate that this is the perspective, because the world has come to value money so much, so much more than raising children. And it's not always easy being in a position that you chose a different path and you are hoping that more people choose this path because you see the benefits that it has to your children, to yourself, and the whole family unit. Maybe, just maybe, this is how our society becomes better, by raising more secure, more trustworthy, and more regulated humans. In my spare time, I do help other moms who want to figure out ways to earn whilst also taking care of their kids. If that's something you're interested in, you will find my website down below and you can contact me and we can work together. Thank you for listening today. If this conversation spoke to you, please share it with another mom who needs encouragement. And remember, you're not just surviving this season, you are building something beautiful. Thanks for tuning in today. See you in the next episode.